the long versus the short sound of I. The long sound is I. It's its name. It's a diphthong, which means it changes sound from the beginning of it to the end of it. Watch my mouth. I. When your mouth changes shape, the sound changes. So even though it's considered one unit of sound, there are two microsounds, and actually an infinite number of microsounds from the beginning of it to the end of it. I. But say it fast. I. So it sounds like one unit of sound. The short sound is made with your mouth in a long, wide, narrow grin with your teeth only open enough that a piece of paper can come through. Don't drop your jaw or it will turn into an sound. Keep it up and it's wide. Itchy, igloo, impossible, inside. Versus I and are often so confused. So in this class, we're not going to see any E's for the whole month because I want your brain to get used to hearing that I sound without being confused about the sound. At the end of this month, your brain is going to be solid on that sound is my goal. So we're not going to confuse it with any wonderings or any guessings. It's just going to staple in the sound of the short I being I always. So there's not going to be, don't ever wonder if I'm saying this month. I'm not. I'm saying I always. Always going to be an I. So the way to know if an I is going to say I or I when you're reading depends on the next two spots, the next two letters. If an I has another vowel in the next one or two spots, it will say I. If the I does not have another vowel in the next one or two spots, it won't say I. It'll say its regular short sound, I. Now, the reason I say one or two spots and not one or two letters, which I do sometimes, is because sometimes it comes at the end toward the end of a word and there's only one letter after it. So that's why in the next one or two spots makes more sense because that second spot is nothing, but there's also not a vowel there. So that kind of definition kind of applies better to I's with only one consonant after it. Simply put, if there is another vowel in the next one or two spots, it'll say I. If not, it'll say I. So let's practice. We're going to mark these together. So this I is going to say I because there's a vowel in the next one or two spots. This I will say I because there's not a vowel in the next one or two spots. And just to refresh your memory, the vowels are A, E, I, O, U, and Y when it's not the first letter. Y is a vowel if it's not the first letter, which is almost always. Let me see if we can line this back up. There we go. So to pencil read this word, we have I, D, I, P. I dip. I dip. Go ahead and try yours over here without me. Okay, so this I says I, marked by this macron. A line above a letter means it's called a macron, and it means the long sound. A curved, like half moon, half circle is called a breve, and it's over a short sound. Long, short. Name, common sound. So this long I says I. This short I says I because there's not a vowel in the next one or two spots. The sounds are I, T, I, B. I tib. I tib. And my mouth is big on that I. Make your mouth big and round and rich when you make that sound. And then the second I is made very narrow. I tib. All right, number 2. We have an I right here because the next two spots are next two letters are consonants, and right here because there's a consonant and nothing. As long as there's not a vowel 1 or 2 doors away, it says I. So the sounds are s, t, I, n, d, I, n. Let me grab just one sound at a time. St, sti, stin, stind, stind, stindin. And my mouth was long and wide like a grin the entire time. Stindim, stindim. That way those I's will come out as is and articulated correctly. Okay, let's try yours over here. I'll be quiet while you work. Your mouth is going to be in a wide grin on this one too. Okay, I want to hear somebody's name on this last part. This should sound like somebody's name starting with the T. So this I says I because there are 2 consonants after it. This I says I because there's a consonant and a space. So the sounds are, make sure that your sounds sound like mine. This is the second most important thing you can do to strengthen your reading skills. The first most important thing you can do is to practice phonemic awareness, which is what we do at the beginning of every class by isolating those sounds. Training your brain to separate sounds will really skyrocket your reading and spelling skills. The second thing you can do is to make sure that the sounds of the letters are pure and tight and clean and clipped. For instance, the sound for P is not pa. The sound for T is not ta. There's no us at the end. It's just air. P and t. Because if you hear it, if you say, like a lot of teachers and parents, well-meaning teachers and parents, accidentally teach their kids that the sound for P is pa, 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 potato, ta, 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 toy. So if you think it's ta, then there's an sound floating in the word without a letter attached to it. Because there's no in the word, so there's not going to be a letter there. There's no U in that word, which makes the letters in the word kind of foggy and make no sense because they're hearing sounds that aren't attached to a letter. So the clean sounds of the letters are essential. So when I'm going through and saying the sounds of these, make sure that your sounds match mine. That will help a lot. Mine aren't perfect, but I've been doing this a long time. I'm actually still learning how to clean these up, but it'll be a good comparison for you just to make sure that you're on the right track. So we have p, u, I, n, s, t, I, m. One sound at a time. Pull, pli, plin, plinst, plinst, plinsti, plinstim. My mouth was in a wide shape the whole time. Plinstim. Okay? Plinstim. If my jaw dropped, it would turn into, like on that second I, listen to the difference in the sound. Plinstem. If your jaw drops, that I will turn into an eh. Keep your jaw up and wide, and the sound will come out right. Plinstim, as narrow as possible. Okay, number 3. We have a long I here, I, because there's a vowel in the next 1 or 2 spots. We have a short I here, I, because the next 2 letters are consonants. And we have a short I here, I, because there's not a vowel 1 or 2 doors away. So the sounds are I, S, I, S, T, I, N. For the, yeah. I'm going to grab one sound at a time. This is a strategy that a lot of my readers love, and I love that they love it. It's such a good strategy to make sure when you're reading through a word that no extra sounds come in, no sounds get out, and no sounds are transposed or get in the wrong spot. It keeps things organized. So we have ice, icy, ISIS, ISIST, ISIST, Isistin, Isistin. Mouth in a long, wide shape that whole time. All right, go ahead and try yours. Okay, so this I will say I because there's a vowel 1 or 2 doors away. This I says I because there's not a vowel in the next 1 or 2 spots. Same with this I because there's not a vowel in the next 1 or 2 spots. The sounds are I, L, I, S, T, I, M. I'll, I'll, Eyeless, eyelist, eyeliste, eyelist him, eyelist him, eyelist him. Would you please put in the chat how you did on these first 3? How many of those 3 did you get on your own before I came in and read it with you? All right, that's good to know. No. I'm happy that you're giving me the honest truth. So some people are like, I've got none. Some people are, I got 1. Some people are, I got 2. And some people are, I got all 3. That's what I needed to know. Yeah, these are difficult. So I want you to know that what I'm teaching you is hard. It's challenging material. And if it is challenging for you to get, it's because the material is challenging. It's not your ability to grasp it. It's the material that's hard. It's what I'm teaching you that's new and challenging. It's not your ability to grasp it. The longer you come, the easier it'll get. But it does take a lot of time and a lot of practice. Let's try number 4. So this first I is going to say I because there's a vowel in the next 1 or 2 spots. This I will say I because there's not a vowel 1 or 2 doors away. So the sounds are f, I, n, I, d. I'm going to divide the syllables right here and give us 2 small chunks, 2 syllables. Let's do this first part only. F, I, fry. Starting with the N. N, I, d. Nid. Putting them together. Frynid. Frynid. Try yours that way. This L is going to be the hardest part of the word. Think of the word play. Play. It's going to start with that p. Okay, so this I is going to say I because of that vowel 2 doors away. This I is going to say its regular, common, short sound I. The sounds in this first syllable are p, l, I. When you push those sounds together, it's ply. Now the M, I, D, mid. Pushing both parts, plymid. 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 All right. Let me just check the chat again here. All right. I would like for you to put in the chat if you have a request for one of the extra practice before I send you away to try these on your own. Do you want me to do 1 or 2 of these with you? If so, let me know which one. Number 8 it is. Okay, this actually I'm going to let you try it on your own and I'm going to come back and do it with you. It's going to be divided right here. If you want 3 small parts. All right, this I will say I. This I will say I. This I will say I. All 3 because there are not vowels 1 or 2 doors away after any of those. So the first syllable says p, l, I, s, pliss. That's not really easy to say. Pliss. That's hard for your tongue to do sometimes, it feels like. Putting pliss on the shelf, we're going to come to the next part. S, I, m, sim, sim. Putting these 2 parts together, plissim, plissim. Putting plissim on the shelf, starting with the T. T, r, I, p, trip, trip, just like a trip that you take. Putting all 3 syllables together, plissim trip, plissim trip. Okay, we have a request for number 3. This C is going to make its k sound, its common sound. This I will say I. This I will say I. So the sounds are k, l, I, s, I, m, p. One sound at a time. Cl, cli, cliss, clisse, clissim, clissimp, clissimp. All right, and then last one we have a request for number 5. So this I will say I because there's a vowel 1 or 2 doors away. This I will say I because there's not. The next 2 letters are consonants. The sounds are d, r, I, m, I, sh. So we have drymish, drymish. All right, now, do you feel like you are more familiar with what I is going to say now than you were 30 minutes ago? Do you feel more able to determine the sound of I based on those next letters that are around it. Well, good. And don't worry if this is still like, because we have a whole month. And like I said, I is a nice, friendly letter. It follows the rules most of the time. It's not going to be like A or like E, where there's so many different ways to spell it. There are a few ways to spell it, but for the most part, it's a nice rule following letter. So you're going to get a lot of repetition with applying what you just learned. So by the end of March, you're going to have I in your pocket. All right, my friends, any questions or concerns, comments before I let you go? Okay. Have a wonderful night being amazing. See you Thursday.